쏠라 잠깐만 목 좀 풀어볼게 너를 위한 노래 Baby I really wanna 절대 이런 건 못하는데 No thanks 할게 답은 간단하게 No thanks 정말 이건 처음 불러보는 노래 널 본 순간 반했어 나 Singing out loud 처음 불러보는 노래 사실 노래 못해 그냥 랩을 할게 please
끝까지 들어줘 마음이 터져 special song 거절은 없어 just yes or yes 다짐했어
그냥 연습해본 대로만 해볼게 초점이 어디에 있었더라 도레미파솔라 잠깐만 목 좀 풀어볼게 너를 위한 노래 Baby I really wanna 절대 이런 건 못하는데 No thanks 할게 답은 간단하게 No thanks 정말 이건 처음 불러보는 노래 널 본 순간 반했어 나 Singing out loud 처음 불러보는 노래 하늘은 오렌지색 이제 기회가 왔어 Oh 답은 안 해도 돼 옅었어 노래 불러봤으니 됐어 절대 이런 건 못하는데 No thanks 할게 답은 간단하게 No thanks 정말 이건 처음 불러보는 노래 날 본 순간
How to survive in Korea. One room. So, you're surviving in Korea. If you've signed a contract for a one room, obviously you're a pro. But the real deal begins now. Step 1. Housewarming. No need to buy toilet paper, diffusers or hand soap. You'll get them soon enough as housewarming gifts. And some are bound to pile up. There's nothing better to serve your guests than milpaeyu nabe. If you have Korean friends coming over, don't forget the extra garlic. Step 2. Garbage disposal. With great power comes great responsibility. You've had a good time, so let's get to work. It might be tempting to sweep everything into a trash can, but you have to separate your garbage. Not bothered? Beware that negligence is punished with a fine or public humiliation. Step 3. Drying rack. You're excited to live alone in Korea, but the fate of these items, hanger, storage, or a hanger. Go get fresh coffee outside. Jogging doesn't cost anything, and nothing beats instant rice. But keep one item around so that you don't get too lonely. Step 4. Pros of living alone. No mum. Cons of living alone. No mum. A new towel doesn't magically appear. You have to do the laundry regularly. If anyone gives a towel as a souvenir, take it. Get rid of mold immediately. Don't be lazy with the vacuum cleaner. Housework is an endless affair. Overwhelmed? Give your mum a call and thank her for everything she's done. Did you survive in your one room? Wait, you have an unwanted visitor. Call someone you fancy. Could be the right person for the job.
No jam in my bottle. No jam in my bottle. I got no jam in my bottle. Nothing for me. No jam in my bottle. Me, we can if you love. Walk into fire in the sky of July. We can if you love like I love. Oh, Rosie, oh, Rosie, oh, roses are red, but my life is so every piece of you. So meet me at the coffee shop. I ordered 7 coffees. You know all my ups and downs since 2015.
Korean President Lee Jae-myung is now in New York to attend the UN General Assembly. Eyes are now on the speech he will deliver to the 193-member body on Tuesday local time. Also in New York, top diplomats of South Korea, the United States, and Japan reaffirmed their commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The three countries agreed to keep coordinating closely on North Korea policy while maintaining the principle of denuclearization. U.S. President Donald Trump claimed the use of acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol and other widely used medications during pregnancy, can cause autism in children. But medical researchers are pushing back, saying there is no proven causal link between autism and exposure to acetaminophen in the womb. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin in New York, where South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung is now kicking off his 5-day trip to the United States. Among the highlights is his first UN speech slated for Tuesday. Our senior presidential office correspondent Yoon Jung-min starts us off.
President Lee Jae-myung touched down in New York on Monday local time, opening his 5-day U.S. trip to attend the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. The general debate of the session runs from September 23rd to 29th under the theme Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. In line with that, President Lee will address the 193-member body chamber on Tuesday local time as the 7th speaker. On Wednesday, Lee will chair an open debate at the UN Security Council, a first for any South Korean president, as Korea assumes the rotating presidency of the 15-member body this month. Discussions will be centered on AI and international peace and security. A number of bilaterals are also scheduled, including one-on-ones with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the leaders of France, Italy, and Poland to discuss bilateral cooperation, including on the defense industry. An official summit with U.S. President Donald Trump is not planned, though it remains to be seen whether there will be a pull aside. On Thursday, before he closes out his U.S. trip, Lee will host the Korea Investment Summit with U.S. financiers on Wall Street to encourage investment in South Korea.
As President Lee makes his debut on the UN stage, the highlight of his trip would be his UN speech slated for Tuesday, with the focus on the resilience of South Korea's democracy, his peace vision, and Korea's global contribution. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News, New York.
And continuing our coverage of President Lee's trip to New York, the president held talks with the head of the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock. The two agreed to work together to strengthen South Korea's position in the global AI industry. Our presidential office correspondent Song Yoo-jin has more.
Turning South Korea into Asia's AI capital. That's the vision that President Lee Jae-myung and BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, agreed to pursue together. It was the focus of Lee's first appointment in New York on Monday, a meeting with BlackRock CEO and World Economic Forum co-chair Larry Fink.
과학 기술에 대한 관심도 높고 우리 국민들이 이 변화를 새로운 변화를 받아들이는데 아주 익숙해서 앞으로 인공지능 중심 사회로 또 재생에너지 사회로 신속하게 바꾸는 데 있어서 아마 세계적으로 매우 모범적인 국가로 갈 수도 있습니다.
According to Lee's Senior Secretary for AI and Future Strategy, Ha Jung-woo, Fink expressed strong interest in investing in South Korea's AI and energy infrastructure, two of the Lee administration's key future growth engines. BlackRock is spearheading global investment in these areas by launching the AI infrastructure partnership with Microsoft, NVIDIA, and xAI. Those shared priorities took shape with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding. The centerpiece is the creation of a hyperscale data center in South Korea, which can meet demand not only at home, but across the Asia-Pacific region.
Building this requires semiconductors, batteries, telecommunications, power, cybersecurity, and cloud technologies. Combined with renewable energy generation, storage systems, and grid infrastructure, it will revitalize Korea's industrial ecosystem while giving Korean companies a competitive edge globally.
The MOU also lays the groundwork for a massive joint investment to support the APAC region's AI and renewable energy transition. While the exact amount will be decided once a joint task force is set up, the presidential office says the figure will be in the trillion-won range. Later in the day, President Lee met with U.S. lawmakers urging Congress to play a more active role in advancing South Korea-U.S. relations.
With diplomacy and the economy being the key themes of President Lee's visit, his first day in New York reflected just that. Now more spotlight will fall on Tuesday when the president takes part in this year's United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week. 송유진, Arirang News, New York.
And President Lee also met with Korean Americans on his first day in New York, pledging to make South Korea a country that Koreans living abroad can take pride in. He said it's time for the country to return to normalcy and leap forward, adding that overseas Koreans once had to worry about their homeland, but from now on, Korea will take care of them. Lee was likely referring to the recovery following the declaration of martial law by his predecessor last December. He also vowed to improve the overseas voting system for Koreans to address the difficulties they're facing. And also in New York, the foreign ministers of South Korea, the United States, and Japan have reaffirmed their commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, Minister Cho Hyun met with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts Marco Rubio and Iwaya Takeshi in New York, ahead of the UN General Assembly. In a joint statement, the three sides agreed to keep coordinating closely on North Korea policy, while maintaining the principle of denuclearization and their deterrence against the North. Cho also called for joint efforts toward peace and dialogue with Pyongyang. This comes a day after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was cited saying he could meet with his U.S. President Donald Trump if Washington abandons its goal of denuclearization. In other news, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered to extend the last remaining nuclear control pact between Washington and Moscow, which is set to expire in February, by 1 year. The White House was optimistic about the proposal, hinting that Trump may give a response in the coming days. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said Monday that he's ready to extend the last remaining arms control treaty between Moscow and Washington by 1 year if U.S. President Donald Trump agrees to do the same.
Therefore, after February 5th, 2026, Russia is prepared to continue adhering to the central quantitative limits of the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty for 1 year. Going forward, based on an analysis of the situation, we will make a decision on continuing to adhere to these voluntary self-limitations. We believe this measure will only be viable if the United States acts in a similar manner.
The treaty, known as New START, is set to expire on February 5th, 2026. It limits the number of strategic nuclear warheads the two countries can deploy, as well as the missiles and bombers capable of delivering them. However, talks on renewal or a potential replacement have yet to begin, largely due to deep differences over the war in Ukraine. President Trump has also indicated that any new arms control framework should include China, adding another layer of complexity. Putin said a 1-year rollover would serve the interests of global non-proliferation and could help jumpstart dialogue with Washington on a longer-term successor to the treaty. Meanwhile, the White House responded cautiously, with spokesperson Caroline Leavitt on Monday, saying Russia's proposed extension sounds pretty good.
The president is aware of this offer extended by President Putin, and I'll let him comment on it later. I think it sounds pretty good, but he wants to make some comments on that himself, and I will let him do that.
For now, the possibility of a short-term extension offers a rare opening for cooperation between Washington and Moscow, even as relations remain strained due to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump says taking Tylenol during pregnancy is linked to an increase in autism, despite no scientific proven evidence. He said the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will be notifying physicians over the use of it. Arirang has the details.
U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that taking Tylenol during pregnancy is, quote, not good, and that it is associated with the high risk of autism in children. Speaking from the Oval Office on Tuesday, alongside the Health and Human Services Secretary, the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, and the Director of the National Institutes of Health, Trump said acetaminophen, commonly known by the brand name Tylenol, should only be used for high, unmanageable fevers.
So I think you shouldn't take it, and you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire.
Trump, during his speech, claimed that autism rates have surged over 400% since 2000 and alleged a strong link between the use of Tylenol during pregnancy with the increased risk of autism. Tylenol is often used as a pain reliever for general fevers, and not treating a fever for pregnant women can be dangerous for both the fetus and the mother. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology refuted Trump's claim by noting that doctors across the country have consistently identified Tylenol as one of the only safe pain relievers for pregnant women, and added that Trump's announcement is not backed by the full body of scientific evidence and simplifies the complex genetic causes in children. The group further said there is no conclusive evidence for a causative relationship between Tylenol and autism. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And here in Seoul, the National Assembly is kicking off its first ever Legislative Expo on Tuesday in front of the National Assembly building in Yeouido under the theme, A Path Opened by Public Participation, A Future Shaped by Legislation. The two-day event will tackle three major agendas: overcoming the climate crisis, responding to regional extinction, and revitalizing the economy. People can take part by proposing legislative ideas, exploring booths showcasing exemplary laws, and joining policy debates and lectures tied to these issues. On the economic front, South Korea's producer prices fell in August for the first time in 3 months, largely driven by a sharp fall in mobile phone charges, after a major carrier introduced discounts following a data breach. The Bank of Korea said on Tuesday that the Producer Price Index, a key gauge of future consumer inflation, fell 0.1% from July to 120.12. SK Telecom offered a 50% discount on August bills for more than 20 million users following a data breach incident, contributing to the decline. Despite the monthly decline, producer prices were still up 0.5 from a year earlier, marking their 25th straight month of on-year growth. Now shifting gears, K-pop isn't the only Korean sound reaching the world. A group of international artists is breathing new life into Korea's traditional music, blending kugak with rhythms from every corner of the globe. Our Park Hyubin has our story.
K-pop may have crossed borders, but Korea's traditional music, kugak, is also finding a global voice. On stages where the Daegum and Gyeonggi Minyo once stood alone, accordion, African drums, and Mongolian strings now join in. At the center is Soundtrack, an ensemble of foreign musicians breathing new life into kugak. Members come from diverse backgrounds, yet a single curiosity about Korean sound brought them together.
About 10 years ago in Mexico, my Korean teacher played Arirang in class, and that's when I first fell in love with kugak, especially Gyeonggi Minyo.
For me, it's not so long time ago because I came to Korea 2 years ago. I wanted to know more about culture and, of course, music. Because I play flute, I was like, there must be a flute in Korea too. And then I started slowly getting to know through Daegum.
After a rigorous audition last April, the group trained for 5 months under master musicians. Their debut came in August on an international stage in Uzbekistan. Soon after, they were invited to the Yeongdong World Traditional Music and Arts Expo in South Korea. For them, kugak is more than performance. It's both an art and a responsibility tied to Korea's cultural roots.
We got chosen out of like how many people, right? So of course excitement was there, but at the same time the sense of like pretty high responsibility. We are playing Korean traditional music, which is I think a very special music.
Rather than simply recreating tradition, they blended kugak with instruments and techniques from their own cultures, creating original arrangements. As one member put it, no matter where an instrument comes from, its purpose is the same: to move people's hearts.
In every country, instruments are the same. They come from the human heart. Wherever you go, traditional instruments carry people's stories.
For these foreign musicians, kugak's power lies not only in its melodies but in its emotions, particularly the concept of han, which means a deep lingering sorrow and resilience that's at the heart of Korean culture.
For me, it's the emotion, the feeling that is coming with kugak. And for us as foreigners, it's of course difficult to say that we understand kugak and the feeling han itself. But I feel trying to understand or getting close to it. I never felt that in my life before when I played the European 전통 음악.
Beyond their music, Soundtrack has a clear mission: to introduce Korean traditional music to a wider global audience and break down the barriers that often confine cultural heritage.
I want to put the boundaries down that all the other foreigners are afraid to touch kugak, like you said. I want to be maybe it's a big word, but kind of an ambassador to show that it's possible. So music is for the world, so I want to show that to everyone.
With every note, Soundtrack turns kugak into a language beyond borders, a living dialogue where tradition meets the world. Park Hyubin, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. In the UK, the Palestinian Mission in London raised a flag at a site that will become the Palestinian Embassy, following Britain's formal recognition of Palestinian statehood. Meanwhile, France has joined several Western countries in the recognition. On Monday in London, a ceremony took place outside the Palestinian Mission in Hammersmith, where Ambassador Hussam Zomlot raised the Palestinian flag and unveiled a plaque that read Embassy of the State of Palestine. Zomlot stated that the Embassy of the State of Palestine will be placed right behind in this building. This follows the UK government's announcement on Sunday that it would recognize Palestinian statehood. Up to now, the mission has operated without embassy status. Canada, Australia, and Portugal have also recognized Palestine's statehood, and France made its official declaration in New York. In response, the White House said that President Donald Trump disagrees with the U.S. allies who have declared recognition of a Palestinian state, stating that he believes it would be a reward for Hamas. In the United States, the Jimmy Kimmel Live show is officially returning to ABC. The show had been suspended indefinitely 6 days earlier, following comments made by Kimmel about right-wing activist Charlie Kirk's death. Disney's ABC announced on Monday that Jimmy Kimmel Live will resume airing on September 23rd, and that the decision was made after internal discussions with Kimmel and was not influenced by regulators or affiliate networks. The initial suspension came after Kimmel's monologue on September 15th, where he criticized supporters of Donald Trump for what he described as attempts to politicize Kirk's murder. His remarks sparked backlash from conservative commentators, the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, and major network affiliates, including Nexstar and Sinclair, which pulled the show from various local stations. In response, hundreds of celebrities signed a public letter in support of Kimmel's right to free speech. In its statement, Disney acknowledged that Kimmel's comments were perceived as ill-timed and thus insensitive, but emphasized his right to express his views. American chipmaker NVIDIA announced on Monday that it will invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI as part of a strategic partnership aimed at expanding its data center capacity. The plan includes deploying at least 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems, which will involve millions of GPUs, with the first gigawatt expected to become operational in the second half of 2026. Under the deal, OpenAI will purchase data center chips from NVIDIA, while NVIDIA will acquire non-controlling shares in OpenAI. This investment will enable OpenAI to scale its infrastructure in response to the growing demand for large-scale AI models. Following the news, NVIDIA's shares rose by nearly 4%. Finally, the world-renowned Pompidou Center in Paris, France, closed on Monday evening for a 5-year renovation, with reopening projected for 2030. The nearly 50-year-old modern arts museum is renowned for its multicolored exterior, exposed piping, and escalators, and attracts millions of visitors annually. The renovation work, to be led by Japanese architectural firm Moreau Kusunoki in collaboration with Frida Escobedo Studio and technical partner AIA Life Designers, is estimated to cost approximately $542 million. Major renovation priorities include upgrading fire safety, enhancing accessibility, and cutting energy consumption by as much as 40%. Choi Ji-hee, Arirang News.
It's an autumn equinox today, and you can already notice slow changes in colors of nature. It's a cloudy day for most regions, then rain will start in South Coast tonight, and rain clouds will expand nationwide tomorrow. This band of rain will continue in southern regions through Thursday. Rainfall totals are expected to reach up to 80 millimeters in the capital area. Other parts could see 10 to 60 millimeters of showers. Meanwhile, northern parts of east of Gangwon-do could see 5 to 20 millimeters. As you can see, rainfall will vary significantly. Temperatures will be similar in southern regions but higher in the capital area, topping out at 27 degrees here in Seoul, Gwangju, Jeju, both topping out at 28 degrees with winds picking up on Jeju Island and on the south coast. The rain will gradually ease from the capital region and Gangwon-do early Thursday, so please keep an umbrella handy. Meanwhile, big daily gaps in readings will continue, so please take care.
Now that's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.
Building a sustainable